The concept of flipping classrooms has been around for many years, but it has been largely used in high school and college settings. But due to the pandemic, flipped learning got a lot of play as many schools switched to the hybrid model, whereby students were spending part of the time at home and part in school. Now, you may wonder, what is a flipped classroom and can it be effective for young learners? Well, we're going to take a look at it during this episode and how we can implement flipped learning in the classroom. Welcome to episode 112 of the Teacher Rockstar podcast, a place where tips and strategies critical to the new teacher are discussed. I'm your host, Steve Hiles, and in today's episode, we're going to be talking about the flipped classroom model. But before we do, here's a quick word from our sponsor. Would you like to supercharge your classroom management skills? Well, if you're a teacher with 0 to 5 years of teaching experience, a student teacher, or perhaps you're a teacher returning back into the classroom after an extended absence, the Teacher Rockstar Academy course is for you. Gain the confidence, the skills you'll need to crush it on day one and beyond. Take advantage of one-to-one personal coaching, 1 year of email support, an invite to our Facebook community group, the online classroom, and super cool bonuses. Enroll now at tra.teacherclassroomresources.com. So invest in yourself. Enroll today. Well, the concept of flipped learning is largely credited to Jonathan Bergman and Aaron Sams. Both were Colorado high school teachers that decided to record audio to their PowerPoint lessons back in 2007. And they would post them online for students who were absent from class so that they could still get the chance to hear what their teacher had to say. Well, it turned out that not only kids who were absent from school benefited from the recordings, but also the students who were actually present in school who were watching these lessons as well. Hence, the teacher could spend classroom time engaging students in active learning, group work, and problem solving. Homework then would be used as a format to present a concept. Now, how effective is flipped learning? The fact that there's only so much instructional time in a given day, it does make a lot of sense to use homework as a means of presenting a topic or a concept, and then the following class period dive right into group work and problem solving. And the teacher becomes a facilitator at this point. The fact that the flipped classroom model has been around for a long time, there's research into the effectiveness of flipped learning that can help the teacher to determine if one should set up a flipped classroom or not for elementary students. The Brookings Institute analyzed more than 300 studies conducted on flipped classroom, involving more than 51,000 students. The study looked at the flipped classroom versus lecture-based instruction from the same teacher. The analysis concluded that flipped learning can be effective. Now, the operative word here is can, because we all know that all students learn differently, and like any pedagogy, flipped classrooms invariably won't be successful across all subject matter. Flipped learning seems to be most effective across subjects like language, technology, health, and science, and not so much with mathematics and engineering. If you're considering a flipped learning approach, one thing you have to take into account is technology access required for your students. In other words, do your students have a way to watch videos at home? Now, if not, then you run the risk of disenfranchising a portion of your class, which of course would not be acceptable. Let's talk about how to structure a flipped lesson. I would suggest that if you're contemplating a flipped classroom, to start small, just to see that if this pedagogy is right for your classroom. I might start with a language or science lesson first. Here is the most common way to implement a flipped lesson. First, give an example or two about a concept, and then require the students to complete an exercise on their own using the information taught in the video to the class the next day. The upside of this is that parents can watch the videos as well, increasing their own understanding of their child's homework topic and thereby supporting the child at home. Group students for active learning experiences. The teacher can then use the homework activity that was completed by the child to assess student understanding prior to organizing students into differentiated activities. Spend less time instructing, more time facilitating learning. Now, what's really cool about this is that the student comes prepared the next day with prior knowledge, and the teacher won't have to spend additional time in class with activating prior knowledge, and the time needed for actual direct instruction will be greatly reduced, perhaps like a short mini lesson. This will allow the teacher to spend most of class time working with student groups on areas that meet their needs. Now, some tips for beginning flipped learning. I want to share these 5 tips with you to ensure that implementation will be successful. Number 1, and I think probably the most important, communicate with parents. First thing, you will want to make sure that all students have access to the internet and that parents are okay with supporting their child and assessing the material in that manner. Discuss with parents the benefits of flipped learning for homework, such as being comfortable with this new way of learning. Start small. This really goes without saying. As soon as you're comfortable with the process, start with one lesson, perhaps a science concept or a social studies research task. So during the next class period, the student can create a poster, a diorama, or presenting the material to their peers. Don't worry about being perfect. There's really no need to try and be perfect and create awesome looking video presentations or really super cool animations. I believe that your students would benefit most from having you explain the work to them in your voice in a way that they will understand. Make your video presentations short. I would say keep your videos around 10 minutes in length, and it will help if you plan what you're going to say and how you're going to get your point across. Set up clear expectations. Always ensure that your students are clear about your expectations. For example, if a student fails to complete the homework, will the student be able to complete the homework and activities in class, or will they have to complete 2 videos plus the activities next time? How do flipped lessons make differentiation easier? Well, the thing here is that the student can rewind certain parts, pause the video, and even watch the video several times if they need to. This is ideal for students who need that extra time to grasp the concept. Flipped learning resources is the next thing I want to kind of address. There are quite a number of websites, applications, and resources that are available to develop your flipped lessons. I'm going to share some good places to start, okay? Tools for video creation. Explain Everything, interactive whiteboard app. The next thing would be Telegami, simple animation app. Then we have Screencast-O-Matic, desktop screen recording. And then Doink Green Screen, iOS green screen animation. And lastly, there is Zoom. Now, let me address places that you can share your videos to. Well, there's YouTube, Google Drive, Google Classroom, Dropbox. Okay, just to name a few. Well, my friend, we have come to the end of today's episode. And I want to thank you so much for listening to the Teacher Rockstar podcast. I'm your host, Steve Hiles. My friend, I hope you got a golden nugget or two from this information presented. Please shoot me an email if you have any questions about this episode. I'd love to hear from you. And also, let me know if there is a topic of interest that you would like for me to address on the show. It's really as simple as sending me an email. I'd love hearing from you. When you get a moment, visit my new and improved blog and subscribe to my newsletter for the latest educational research, best practices, and unadvertised free bonuses. Go to blog.teacherclassroomresources.com. And don't forget to subscribe to us at the Teacher Rockstar podcast, and we'll send you a free gift for doing so. Okay? And if you'd like to support us, please feel free to share our podcast with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. That would be greatly appreciated. Thanks again. We'll see you same time, same place next week. And remember, my friend, you got this.